Hey everyone, welcome to the eCore Career Talk. My name is Arison and I'm at eCore, and I'll be the host for the session. Let's talk a little bit more about eCore. The Career Talk is a series of events focused on career, development, technology, and life at eCore. Our company is based in Brazil, Mexico, and the US, hosting amazing multicultural teams. We have been recognized as a great place to work for the last 16 consecutive years. And we are proud to be recognized as the best company to work for Brazil and Mexico in the categories of mid-sized and small-sized companies, respectively, and also the second best company to work for in the large companies category in Latam. And now, about today's most important topics. Technical interviews can be an important step during hiring processes. Here at Ecor, today's panel discusses promises to offer valuable perspectives from special guests who are involved in this step. For those preparing to apply or currently in the selection process, this session will be particularly beneficial. To attendings, I encourage you to actively participate, ask questions, and engage with the topic we are going to discuss. This is a great opportunity to gain insights directly from a core professional and to better understand what makes a core a unique place to work. So let's get started with our panel discussion. I want to give a warm welcome to our special guests. Thank you for being here with us today. How about introduce yourself briefly? Let's start with Ivan.
Hey, hello
Nice.
everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, nice. So I'm Ivan, also known as Ivan for the foreign people. Usually they call me like that. And I have a computer science academic background and joined DCOR for pretty much 2.5 years now, more or less. And I've been working as a senior cloud support engineer here, also as a tech multiplier in our cloud support team. And conducting technical candidate interviews when we have such open positions, right? So, what else can I say? Ecor is a really amazing company to work for. That's has been my experience in these last 2.5 years. That really values its talents. Like, I feel like that we have a really fair environment where people that perform well are really well recognized as well. So it's a great company to work for.
Very good, Renata.
Hello, everyone. Can you please confirm if you can hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I am Renata. I am software quality engineer. I have about 5 years of experience. I have been working at Ecor for the last 2 years, and I am based in Uberlândia, Minas Gerais.
Very good. Thank you all. With our special guests introduced, let's talk a little bit more about technical interview. Just a reminder to attendees, feel free to send your questions. At the end, actually, we'll have a dedicated space to answer some of them. Okay, so let's start talking about technical interview. Renata, what do you think set Ecore's technical interview process apart from other companies?
Mhm. So I really think that our process is kind of different of most part of the companies, and I think that we have a couple of reasons for that. One of them is that we have a process that we follow. So it's not that simple. It's not as simple as pick a senior person and put this person to interview a new candidate. no, we have a process that we developed in the past, and this process is continuously being improved. We have a well-established team of technical interviewers who are familiar with our process. We have also a process to include a new senior into this team. And another reason I think is that both our leadership team and our talent acquisition team, they trust in this process, and they really take into account our evaluation.
Very good, very good. Thank you. Do you have anything to add, Ivan?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Very good. Um, Actually, can you share with us any common mistake candidates making during the technical interview and how they can avoid this kind of mistake?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question, Arison. Like after doing multiple technical interviews, I would say that probably the most common, let's say, mistake is to not come prepared enough because it's not like a big mystery of what we would expect. For example, I am from support, right? So usually we expect candidates to know a certain amount of industry standards, So probably the people attending the live here are familiar with concepts like database queries, SQL, REST API, a little bit of Java. We really only need the basics for a support position, for example. Browser dev tools, protocols like TCP/IP, HTTP. So we really like when a candidate show up already having studied, already being prepared for such technical topics that are industry standards, are not specific to our products, right? And certainly English, because as you are all seeing, we are conducting this session in English, and it's not by coincidence. It's really a must nowadays. We have most of our customers in other countries, not Brazil or even Portugal, right? So talking about our region here in Brazil, we support mostly the American customers. So having I wouldn't say that we need like really advanced grammar skills or things like that, but we really need the fluency to conduct conversations and have the necessary vocabulary to join customer calls, something like that. So that's something that we also assess during the tech interviews. We conduct the whole technical part also in English, so it's definitely something that the candidate needs to keep in mind. And you also asked me what to avoid, right? Maybe I would say, and that's something that I, as an interviewer, emphasize in the beginning of the interview, is that we don't expect the candidate to know everything we are going to ask, because at least for support positions, we talk about dozens of different subjects, topics. So maybe something to avoid would be like if you don't know something, don't try to explain something that you don't know. It's totally fine, if for a couple of subjects you didn't have previous experience yet, and that's exactly what happened on my own personal interview when I was hired. I didn't know all the answers, and it's fine, and it's good to avoid trying to explain something you don't know. Yeah, really.
Yeah, totally. And I saw you already gave a couple of advice, but I'd like to get deeper on these topics. What kind of advice would you give to someone preparing more for the technical interview at Equal? Or do you think it's
Mhm.
important?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much connected to the previous question. Indeed, like I ended up talking a lot about industry standards that we require. Like I said, I am from a support role in our organization, so we may have different requirements depending on the position, of course. So if we expand a little bit more and maybe consider also development positions, another good way prepare for a technical interview would probably be like to do some tests on a platform like HackerRank, for example, that you can exercise there, you can simulate and learn a lot by yourself. It's also nice if you if you already have a personal portfolio. So that's pretty common nowadays on dev positions. You already have your portfolio publicly available on Bitbucket, Git, and platforms like that. So maybe to complement from other roles perspective, that would be it. But from support, you don't need to know about the product you are going to support here yet. You are going to learn that during your onboarding, your ramp up process, right? But it's nice to already show knowledge and experience on industry standards.
Thank you. Also, we know that the processes in core, the core processes actually is very inclusive. And Renata, can you share with us how does we as a technical interviewers can ensure that the core processes are fair and inclusive for candidates from diverse backgrounds?
Well, I think this is a complementation of my previous question because there is a big reason why we follow a process. And the reason is because we want to be fair and evaluate with the same level of difficulty every candidate that apply to our open positions. And to illustrate the fairness of this our process, I'm going to explain at a high level how it works. So basically, we divide our technical interview process in two parts. One part is the code challenge, and another part is the technical interview per se. So the code challenge, we send it to the candidates. And when we receive one challenge from a candidate, how we evaluate that. So as I said before, we have a technical team to work on this interview process. And we select two people of this technical team to evaluate every challenge that we receive. So both opinions need to converge to one score for that candidate. And we also evaluate the every challenge against a checklist that we are continuously improving it. And what else can I say? We also, in the end of this evaluation, we are going to classify the candidate under one of our levels that are entry, intermediate, senior, or specialist. And the second part, the interview part, basically follow the same idea. We also have a checklist to evaluate the technical part, the interview part. And one of you may say that this is a repetition, but no, we like to make these two parts because there are another things that we evaluate during a conversation, such as communication, another kind of abilities. So, for example, like Ivan said as an advice, it is very common when we are interviewing an entry level position. The candidate don't know how to answer some question, they try to answer it anyway. Don't do that. Just we want to see that you are able to raise a hand when you don't know how to do something. So this kind of stuff we only catch during the interview.
Yeah, I think that this is an advice for the whole process at Equal, since the HR into the leadership in fulfill. Every step you have to be clear and honest. If you don't know, you don't know, and that's okay. We have space for learning and stuff like that. We want to know what you know actually, and if you were able to raise your hand when you need it. So it's a very interesting point that we both bring to the table to discuss. And talking about honesty and speeches, Eva, could you could actually talk about a time when the candidate really impressed you during a technical interview? What was the reason that stood you out?
Mm. Yeah, that's a great question. Also, like, uh, I would say that after conducting like dozens of interviews and having approved multiple candidates to the next phase, as you said, we usually have this flow from coming from HR to us. Then in the second phase, at least for a support position, we do the technical part. And if we then approve the candidate to the next phase, it's a leadership interview where it's not technical anymore, but it's more of from like an experience perspective, behavior perspective, and stuff. So when I proved such candidates to the next phase, I would say that the ones that most impressed me would be like the ones that were able to show to demonstrate knowledge by heart, and what do I mean by heart? Like you clearly see that the candidate knows what he's talking about, like he's not reading anything. He knows by the bottom of his heart from previous experience, from previous learnings, previous companies. So that's definitely something that we value. Like if we really see, especially nowadays that we do everything virtual, right? Everything remote. It's nice to see when you are talking remote that the person really knows what he or she is talking about. So that's something that I would say. And also connecting the dots with what we were saying about being honest, being transparent with what you know and what you don't know yet. I really like when complementing all this previous knowledge and experience, a candidate, besides being honest, really shows a passion to learn and a curiosity to know more about that he doesn't know yet. So that's another thing that impresses me when, besides demonstrating knowledge on the majority of the questions, the candidate still shows like a passion to learn and figure out something more right after the interview. Sometimes they even contact us on LinkedIn. Hey, can you talk more about that subject that was the only one I didn't have experience yet? So that's a good example, I would say.
Very good, very good. I think when you show you were comfortable with the stuffs that you know, you show humanity, right? So when you say you don't know, actually, that's what we are looking for. Someone who human and not someone who knows it all, because nobody knows it all, right? And with that said, what skills or quality are you especially looking for during the technical interviews beyond technical expertise?
Mm. Yeah, I would have to say, like, beyond the technical topics, definitely English. Again, I know it's kind of repetitive, but we really need it. So sometimes it's also a pity when we are interviewing a candidate that really shows a lot of knowledge and experience on the technical stuff, on all topics like databases, REST APIs, and so on and so forth. But the English is not much fluent. Like I said in the beginning, it doesn't need to be like really advanced in terms of grammar, but we need this vocabulary, this fluency, because besides the technical interview, the candidate, if hired, is going to support customers over phone, over Zoom calls, and so on. And besides the English skills, I would say troubleshooting skills. That's something that, at least in support, we also assess the skills from the candidate, because we need someone that is able, to get to the bottom of the issues in a certain way, like going step by step, anticipating future needs from the customer. So when you do that initial reach to the customer, you, you need to know already what to ask to clarify the issue understanding and go to the next step in the investigation. So asking the right probing questions in the beginning, right? Also, not jumping into assumptions, right? Since we support enterprise customers, we want to really go to the accurate root cause in the end, even if it takes a little bit more of time and communication, and not assume that is X, Y, or it may be Y. So that's also something that we try to assess. So besides technical, definitely English and troubleshooting skills, yeah, in support.
Yeah, I would add a specific topic. Usually during the interviews, we ask for examples, right? So, can you tell me a time that you had to deal with a specific client or a specific situation? And we have two ways to answer this kind of question. Usually, candidates go to or give an example or try to say what he or she would do if that situation happened. And my advice in the situation: try to bring example. It's more complete if you gave us an example with the beginning, middle, and end situation, because we use the situational interview processes. So do not try to sell what would you do. Show me what you did during this situation, right? This is a good form to be a good performer on interviews. Do you agree with me? Do you have any points to adding on this kind of topic?
Totally, yeah. I think we always like when there are practical examples from experience, and that's something that you guys already start assessing in the HR part in the first phase, right? And we go a little bit deeper than in the tech interview.
Yeah, and I see also that some people avoid to study for specifically for the interviews because they are afraid to fake during their interview or something like that. This is not real. It is recommend recommended that you study for the interview because we know the candidate may be nervous during the interview. So if you study to it, it will be easy for you to pass through this process.
And Renata, you bring something very important too. I think it's something that we should say as well. We considering your nervosism. We know
Yeah.
you are
Hmm.
nervous. That's okay. It's not a
Yeah.
problem for us because it's a evaluation process. We know that maybe you can get nervous. There's no problem on it. So it's not a problem. It's not something that you should be worried with.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
talking
that's.
about, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say that's a good point. I really try to usually try to do an icebreaker introduction of the interviews because we know we were nervous when we were interviewed and hired, and everyone feels like that. We are all humans, so that's a fair point. Good call.
Very good, very good. So, enjoying the topic about studying. Renata, how do you see the role of technical interviews evolving in the future, particularly with the rise of AI and automation?
Hmm. That's a very good question because I think that every evolution only makes sense if it comes to solve a real problem, a real point of pain. And today, we have some points of pain during the interview process. One of them is that sometimes we face an imbalance in between the number of people available to conduct the interview process and the number of candidates we receive applications. And it leads to a lack in our efficiency. We suffer a lot to accomplish the SLAs and etc. And because we want to be respectful with the candidates that apply for our open positions, we want to pursue the SLA. Um, and a few months ago, a group of people started with an initiative they called it accelerators. And one software developer called Andreis brought up with an idea of implement a software with AI integration to help us to evaluate the code challenges that we receive. But this is important to mention that we think that this is not to remove the human interaction. This is only to be used to improve, to speed us. Because in the end of the day, who will really provide the final evaluation will be a human. So because we understand that this is a software, this may have bugs, we are close to launch it. Who developed the most part of this project were another software engineer called Danilo Guimarães, and our expectations with this project are very high, and we really think that this is going to increase a lot our efficiency during the interview process. And yeah, I think that's currently the future that we are pursuing. I think only the future will say if AI is really promising or not, but we can neglect that today it is becoming gaining its importance in our area, not only in our area but in many others.
Yep, I think it's important to say that this is a tool not just to speed the processes, but also to help us to accurate our evaluation, right?
Mhm.
Because we had a bunch of technical tests to evaluate and
Mhm.
topics to see, and this is a good tool to help us in this kind of way. And also, it's a two-way to go. So the candidate also can use that for helping him he or she actually to understand a little bit more about the topics or things that they may know, or it's a support tool to understand uh, questions that he may have during the process. But enjoying this topic as well and bringing this to the table, what resources or tools actually do you guys recommend to the candidates just to prepare for the technical interview?
I can start talking about the QA perspective. So we recommend the candidates to study to follow the International Software Testing Qualification Board material and use this material to study and and even to support them to accomplish hard tasks. It not only provide a bunch of material for studying, but also it has certification paths, both for specialized positions in the QA area, but also for more generalist ones. And but we like to advise that this is not only about take the certifications or know the theory, but try to establish a connection in between the theory and the practice. So I like to when I am studying any new topic, I try to understand first, and it helps me a lot, why that theory were created, what kind of problem that theory solved, and if there is people still using it today. So that's some advices that we like to give to the candidates.
Yeah, so just complementing, like in terms of resources and tools, right? I think for dev positions, as I mentioned earlier, we have tools like HackerRank to simulate. I'm sure there are more. And from support perspective, I think the internet is a paradise to find free courses. Even here on LinkedIn, you know, you have a platform for learning that you can find free courses to study SQL, REST API, protocols in general like HTTP, TCP/IP, browser dev tools, which is pretty important while troubleshooting issues on cloud positions, right? And we have a lot of cloud positions, so it's an important experience. And even English, we have like platforms like Duolingo and so many others that can be leveraged to improve our skills. So yeah, I think we are well served, and it's a matter of like dedicating some time, you know, some discipline, and we were all there. Like at some point, just like Renata said, we also had to study, and it's good to also put things in practice. So if you stay only on theory, you may not really absorb what you are studying. So if you have the chance to put to develop something on your own, you know, it's always better to show and demonstrate experience later.
Yeah, I would add the eCore events, not just career talks, but eCore events. We always have some interesting topics here. So for external public, talking about hard skills, soft skills, just like this one we are having now. So this is a very good experience as well to hear it from a company that you want to work with, what we think, what we practice, and stuff like that. Very good, very good. Um, let's see if you had any questions. I don't think so, but let's see if you have any of them. Very good, very good. We don't have it, but I would like to strongly encourage you to attend this, to leave questions on the comments if you need. We are able to answer after the streaming finishes. So, and also feel free to contact us on LinkedIn. So, I'd like to first, before just a spoiler of the end of our conversation, but first, I'd like to thank you to our special guests and everyone who chose to join us this afternoon. It was a pleasure to have you for the discussion today. I hope you enjoyed the session and also had get a lot of experience from us. If you want to stay tuned with eCore News, please check on comments the link to our talent community. This is one of this is one more way to be in touch with eCore. We usually send updates from the company job openings, next events, and so much more. So thank you so much for you all. Until next time.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much, everyone, for the time, and I hope that we could share some good insights on the interview process.